So what's this I hear? That all of a sudden a gentleman of exquisite caliber is seemingly going to be fabulous, and maybe a collective might want to collect on that. Yeah, we're going to talk plenty about that. Plenty of what's going on here in the WVWF, because you might want to say that this week coming up on Sportswire Radio is going to almost be exclusively all about the WVWF, and for good reasons. We'll talk about that here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that our guest and some of the companies that he has represented have certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio. We'll get into that, but we'll also get into, well, this guy whose last name is Tafua. What did I see between him and that guy Tafua a few different times in the WVWF, and also maybe some of the comments of, you might want to say, our gentleman of exquisite caliber's tag team partner who talked about the collective and talked about taking gold, and we'll get into that. We'll also maybe talk about some other places, maybe Mon Valley Pro, maybe a show coming up this weekend, plus who knows whatever else. Plus, I'll have something in store for our guest, and I'll have a few of those announcements related to the WVWF, and in the spirit of, you might want to say, October and October surprises, maybe a debate, almost a presidential election-like debate this Friday, and involving WVWF personalities. Oh, I can't wait to announce that. Plus, who knows whatever else. But I know it has been a long time since our guest has been on here, so I must give him that introduction. That introduction I almost forgot to give him. But since, after all, we are here, and ladies and gentlemen, angels and demons, and the other stuff I just can't say, but we've got a gentleman of exquisite caliber, and I'll let him say the rest in the usual angel food cake that he loves, the devil's food cake in between. Almost the same thing, angels and devils. But forget that. In the famous words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott, let's get rock, baby, because the chat has arrived and our guest has got his usual blue jacket on. And let's start this show and week off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one cable sports show. A man that has traveled up and down the United States, and you've seen him, you might even want to say, from sea to shining sea. Ladies and gentlemen, angels and demons, his name is simply but the gentleman of exquisite caliber. Godrick Sandwell, my friend, how are we doing? And welcome home.
I do concur. And is that a little bit of extra whimsy in your voice that I hear tonight, Reverend? Because it has been way too long, my friend.
Last several shows. I have a major guest on Wednesday. Maybe I'll announce it. We have a bit of a crowd. Maybe I'll announce it. I have a major rock and roll singer So I've been trying to work on the pipes. Although my allergies have been killing me, but I have been doing extra a little bit on the bravado. Definitely trying my best to compare with myself and some of the rock singers we've had on. We had Josie Scott of Saliva, who used to be Saliva. He is truly the only voice of Saliva. He would remind me. He was here, and we have another big guest one day. So yes, I've been trying to go the extra mile, and I will definitely need my preferred beverage here shortly. But yes, and it is good to see you here once again, my friend.
And it is always an honor, sir. It's, as I said, it's been a little too long. My travels have taken me to many, many, many a land.
Yes, you've been in many places. I know Indiana, Pennsylvania, back in Parkersburg, a place you know well. And we'll talk about some different places. You got a show this coming Saturday, which will be next to talk about. But I really want to get into the WVWF because I have a lot of coverage for the WVWF this week. We actually, before Friday's big debate, we have some champions on here Thursday, and they have a lot to say. And we'll see if we can give you a clue later on. But the gentleman of exquisite caliber, Godrick Sandwell, for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage and the platform that you most certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio, alongside the WVWF. Have you all of a sudden, well, let's just say, formed an alliance with someone who's fabulous, and why?
Well, I do have to admit, the relationship between the aforementioned fabulous one, Miss Phoebe Harper, and yours truly, it didn't start off the way that a gentleman would prefer.
No, you
a little bit more
wrestled each
amicable.
other. She's beating you. You went out there and answered her challenge and beat her. And yeah, for, I guess, on and off the last few months before the last couple of WVWF shows you were at, you've kind of had an, awkward history with her, you might want to say.
An awkward history would be quite nice. Just on the record, though, if anybody wanted to talk to me, just some coffee would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of developed now, I guess, into where you guys are kind of a team, and you've taken on some people that you definitely have a lot of history with in other places. So I ask why, going back to my original question a minute or two ago.
In all honesty, I think it has more to do with more of a mutual respect, perhaps a little bit of mutual gain, especially in this department.
I say, okay, makes sense. That I gather. Maybe you guys have had some common opponents or common denominators that are in your way to move up the ladder, especially here in the WVWF.
I would say that's a fair assessment. As much as I'd like to get down to WVWF, I don't get down there as much as I would prefer to, but I also have to admit, as crazy as this may sound, I see a lot of me in one Miss Phoebe Harper, although from a polar opposite world.
Okay, now I'm going to say, I'm not going to be nice on you. Now, you know I'm a big fan of yours, and Phoebe is an outstanding competitor, and she has proven herself in the ring. I know Courtney is here, and she still swears up and down she should be the hybrid champion. We know what she did with the championship that I'm not even going to say because she's done with that. And I've seen her go out there and defeat different people in the ring, yourself included. But I don't know what I see in common necessarily between you and the fabulous one, Phoebe Harper. I mean, you might want to enlighten me as you always have over the past year. And what are the similarities with you and Phoebe Harper?
If you would look at us on a surface level, you would be correct. I come from one world, she comes from another, and that's perfectly fine. And that's just being very kind about that. But as far as within that realm, within those ropes, I have to admit, she's fiery, as am I when the spotlight calls for it. She has a feistiness, which I can respect. She's also quite resilient, which yours truly can attest to as well. A lot of qualities that would make one a terrific addition to any roster, no matter where it is.
So you mean to tell me that as in-ring competitors, leave aside that you guys would definitely fit in a John Hughes 1980s movie that he's made, whether it's Pretty in Pink, whether it's The Breakfast Club. You can throw one of those movies out there, and I'm sure you and Phoebe could probably play the parts pretty well. But as in-ring competitors, you and her have a lot of similarities, whether it's style or whether it's ultimately what you both want to do out there.
Actually, yeah, now that you mention it, I should get The Breakfast Club out of my catalog and watch that one more time. It's been a long time as well.
Yeah, I think there's some people here in this chat are like, no, what is The Breakfast Club here in New York? It's a big thing that's kind of like Hot 97, which is kind of the big hip hop and R&B thing. But yeah, there are people here in this chat that probably have no idea what I just referenced because it was before they were even born. So yeah.
Oh, how droll! I wasn't born at the time of Cannonball Adderley or Miles Davis, but yet
I mean,
I
I
enjoy their
wasn't
sweet
born
sound.
either, from these movies, but I've just, I've watched a lot of different things once upon a time, and this girl named Taylor referenced it also on the New Heights podcast, so I stole it. But obviously, there's some similarities in ring more than anything else. That might be the bond that you and her have.
I do agree, and it wasn't exactly something that I had foreseen, even through my travels, even through my conversations with far wiser than I. There is a saying, however, that don't take this within the wrong context. I don't mean this in any way.
Right.
But sometimes even love can bloom on the battlefield. Now, what's that to say within this appropriate context? Sometimes sometimes when you think you're fighting an enemy, sometimes you're just fighting something of a reflection of yourself. Maybe a past self that you would rather forget.
Well, I'm confused. Okay, now I'm confused. I mean, so you mean to tell me that some of the opponents that or even in the past, you and Phoebe, because you and her have wrestled a few times, that maybe you were wrestling yourself or things you didn't like, and that's led to where we are in this WVWF environment, or am I missing something here?
Truth be told, the more I think about it, the more even I kind of throw myself into a bit of a loop. I'm still trying to sort the details out myself.
Yeah,
But the
I mean,
bottom line,
because I'm confused the whole situation because you and Phoebe, yeah, okay, all right, the in-ring work, I could see some of that. I could see the competition, but you and her are still complete polar opposites. And now you've gotten mixed up with her and her battle with this group, which you know very well. You know very well. I've been talking a lot about them the last few weeks, and for good reasons. That is the Collective. And you've even
right?
gotten mixed up with them. You've teamed with Phoebe. You've been out there against them, and now you've gotten mixed up a little bit in Phoebe's battle here with the Collective, and somebody that I'm going to bring up very shortly. And you and him have been on this platform together at the same time.
That's right. How I got roped into that skirmish, shall we say, I'm still trying to put those pieces together as well. Moving through the myriad of a little bit of admitted confusion, the bottom line simply is this: I see a lot of potential in Phoebe to be something special, to be something great. Whether it stays in that area, whether it travels, would ultimately be up to her. But
But what do you
I
think she sees in you, though? Because famously, I saw that segment, and I believe Courtney did this before the one of the last was it the last of the previous WVWF show, and it was sort of Phoebe and you were kind of like there, but it felt distant. You know what I'm saying? It almost felt like Phoebe was kind of the cool kid, and you were almost kind of Godrick Sandwell. So I mean, I don't want to say the uncool kid because you are Godrick Sandwell. Because in the ring, you are one of the very best. But
uh,
Phoebe is certainly very well. Let's just say fabulous in how she thinks and what she's done. And then you're Godrick Sandwell, and I was just almost noticing that and what that all led to, where that segment with the collective and then that war of words between, well, Phoebe Harper and that guy you might want to say that's you're going to find in Day Jameson, the psycho killer, where she wanted to take, well, possession of things that he's collected, you might want to say, in multiple places, if you know what I mean.
I do know exactly what it is you reference. From that standpoint, I would certainly support Phoebe in that regard. I understand that she wants to chase the accolades, the championships. However, I would really prefer her not get too mixed up with the collective because, unfortunately, and I can attest to this as well, that comes to DC, when you mess with one of them, you mess with all of
Well,
them, and that's
and I'm glad you
literally.
said that, and that's why I'm confused about this situation. We're going to put some WWF links up here in a second. We're going to plug. Unfortunately, I don't have the footage I can access on here. Mary has it. Mary B. Let's just put it that way. But I can't show it on the Facebook stream. But that footage is out there. Courtney has had some footage out there also. But my point is that when you think about the collective, and we've talked a lot about them recently. I mean, look at, William Renee, and I'm not even going to go there. Courtney will want to come on this screen right now, right? But then you think about the group itself. Ampo the Destroyer, the man that's the squared circle. We know what he's done. Then you've got Mr. Jameson, who we spoke about, the new Pro Wrestling Cheap Shots heavyweight champion, the Banana Man Lestat. Man, you know him very well. You have certainly been in the ring with him. You've teamed alongside. You know him very well. And a man that you've been mixed up with here and also elsewhere, in the USWA Universal Champion, Daniel Tafua. And then, there is Brittany Storm. I know Courtney would kind of just throw that to the side and some others, but
No.
you mentioned the names. Let's go with it. Ampo, the Banana Man, Daniel Tafua, and now you might want to say the Tri-Belt champion, the psycho killer himself, Day Jameson. I mean, yeah, you mess with one and you're messing with all of them, and they've got a resume that's, well, it's about almost 10 championships between the four of them, and you know that better than anybody.
Yes, I do. I've had the more fortunate experiences with them. Rather than get into a scrum with any of them, I've usually been able to get away with just a casual conversation over either a good book or perhaps with Ampo, we can speak of Japanese culture as he's a bit of an enthusiast, as am I.
But that may not necessarily work fully with all of them. But I mean, so Phoebe has seemed to want to talk about her success over collective members, but some of that was, you might want to say, given a reality check most recently, understandably so. You might want to say, when it came to that guy who everybody's trying to find, and let's just say other groups in the WVWF have also, well, they've found out that you don't want to put a bounty that you can collect on the collective.
Quite right indeed. For those who seek shall find, as the saying goes. But I've had my share of run-ins with Mr. Jameson as well.
You have, yes,
whatever
you have,
capacity.
in multiple states, different places. So I ask you then, so what's to make of you and Phoebe Harper? What's to make? Is there something long-term? Is there goals? Because I'm going to announce it here. I think I'm going to go right for the jugular. Thursday night here, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have on the WVWF Tag Team Champions, Cease and Desist, the Hype Man Dan Lasers, and the Rare Bird Chris Phoenix. I mean, certainly a unique team, and they recently took those tag team championships from, well, the draw, and they got a pretty good hand when it came to drawing those tag team championships. So, I mean, what are some goals, if there's any, with you and Phoebe? I mean, Cease and Desist here, you've heard that certainly sparked your interest, and you always want gold, but is there anything that you and Phoebe have in sight, maybe, for the audience?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to throw an additional congratulations to the team of Cease and Desist, two gentlemen that I have also had the pleasure of calling very good friends as
Yes.
well.
You have been in the ring with them. You have teamed with them. Obviously, Mr. Phoenix, you know them very well. And those are people that are definitely on your wavelength.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. As far as goals for me and Miss Harper goes,
Yeah.
as as far as I would gather in this situation, I think the goal should be obvious. And if Cease and Desist are listening to this right now, it's nothing personal. It's just
Yeah.
strictly business. We won tag team gold. It's that
So
simple.
you mean to say that you and the fabulous one, Phoebe Harper, want gold and you might, I'm going to do it, steal a phrase, collect gold from cease and desist and officially make them cease and desist as the WVWF tag team. But in this case, knowing you, this would be more of I guess a friendly battle. I was gonna say a gentlemanly squire, but Phoebe is obviously not gentlemanly. So I thought a friendly battle or friendly competition might be the better term. You would see that matchup potentially if it would have happened down the line.
Oh, should that match ever materialize, trust me when I tell you, I would be ready for that with all the bells, whistles, and fanfare a gentleman can bring.
Mm.
But
Okay.
as far as Miss Harper goes, obviously she sees this a little bit differently than I do, and I do respect that. She's, if nothing else, has been consistent in her viewpoints as for her
I
competition.
mean, like she definitely sees you maybe in a different light than you see her, if that makes sense. I mean,
Perhaps so. To answer the question that I had, we kind of got a little sidetracked off a little bit earlier. In what does Phoebe see in me? I truthfully have no idea. I really don't.
so how can this work between you and Phoebe? I know you got in-ring goals maybe, but how can this work? I mean, with Rarebird and Hype Man, I mean, they're best friends. I mean, you see them together. They may have a little bit of a different ways they go about things, but nevertheless, they feed off each other. They complement each other very well. You can say what you want about the draw, but the draw have had goals. We know the collective. I mean, they're basically a group, in the same way you would look at some of the biggest groups around and, they're a pack. They're a pack together, but you and Phoebe, I mean, going back to the 1980s John Hughes references, I mean, you are definitely total opposites to say the least.
As I said, on the surface, if you would look at it just like that, you would be absolutely correct. But as a gentleman has preferred to show, there's always if you look at a book and judge it by its cover, you're never going to know what's underneath.
That's a good
Sometimes
point.
there's more to read.
That's a good point. Now, listen, I mean, you read it, you would open the book or look at it. But I would say conversely, that's also a big part of, well, deciding if you want to read the book, right? If I look at the cover, right? If I look at it, that would make a decision for me if I'm going to take a look at it. So ultimately, I hope for your sake that you and Phoebe can put some goals together and work on whatever that might be. I mean, have you spoken to Phoebe recently?
Unfortunately, I have not. My
Oh, you
travels
haven't.
keep me
I
quite
see, you
busy.
have not. You haven't. Oh, that certainly could be something you might want to evaluate, I would suppose. Something you might want to say that you would want to do in the future. I would think, right? But then again, maybe not, considering you and Phoebe. I mean, I don't even know what you'd have in common. You would have your terms, you would have your way of doing things, your preferred beverages, obviously, your cake choice, and well, Phoebe would, probably not have the same choices, safe to say.
Perhaps not, but anybody can find some common ground, which actually reminds me, one moment. Yep,
Ah, yes, and there is
send a
a
telegram to Miss Harper. Go ahead,
mm,
yeah, go ahead and send that. Thank you.
mm.
I apologize. Actually, thank you for the reminder.
Well, I could say maybe it's a good thing because at the very least, I mean, when you were in action, you did get a victory at least. I guess I could say from that standpoint, when you did tag together, you did get a victory. I mean, and that's certainly collectively for the two of you got to be a good feeling.
It was. Again, the circumstances I wish could have been a little bit more amicable, especially between myself and Mr. Tafua.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm glad you said that because Mr. Tafua and you, I mean, I knew you two to be friends for a long time. I mean, I've known you now for over a year, and I've covered you in different places, and there was always that friendship that you and Mr. Tafua had. But is maybe Miss Harper getting in the way of that, possibly?
Um, I think that remains to be seen. But as far as Mr. Tafua and I are concerned, I do still consider him a friend.
But Miss Harper obviously doesn't consider the collective the same way you do.
That would
That might be
also be
something you
correct.
might want to let her know. I mean, now that the WVWF has cameos, there always is one idea. Maybe Miss Harper is going to have a cameo video. We can request. Maybe I should request her on Cameo, and maybe she can answer some of those questions. Or maybe one day I could bring her on here. But obviously she's very busy, and maybe that's something we'll keep in the back of our pockets for a later date. But I guess being victorious at least says maybe this could work despite some of the things you've tried to tell Miss Harper, I'm sure.
Yeah, sometimes there is a bit of a communication barrier, and
I can see that because you're in one language, you're in one train of thought, and well, she certainly has her own fabulous ideas.
indeed. So, which actually reminds me, in that telegram, I did mention something about sending her some equestrian lessons. I hope she will take those.
Well, you
But
better.
that's a whole different side note.
Well, you know what? You may want to do that. And, I do want to talk about, because there's some people here in the chat and I want to get to them. I want to say hello to some people. But you have a show coming up here this coming weekend. I want to talk about it for the audience because you and I were having a conversation, a lot more friendly of a chat maybe than what Miss Harper and Dave Jameson have had recently. But yeah, I thought you'd like that one. But talk to me about All-Star Wrestling here coming up. I see some names I know, and obviously you're going to be on the card. And what can we expect here coming up?
Well, Pros of Wrestling coming up this weekend, the 25th in White Oak, Pennsylvania, which actually is not very far away from where I'm at, which is
Wow,
pretty
lucky
nice, I
you.
have to
So
admit.
instead of in the past, we've talked to you about you driving to Tennessee, driving to Indiana, driving all across the United States. Now, in this case, this will be literally almost a walk in the park for you.
Well, by comparison, I do concur. But
Your car
as
will be
far as
very happy.
what can you expect from this, I expect a nothing short of a gallant spectacle that White Oak better never forget.
Well, and obviously you're going to be on the card here coming up with some names. You're on the poster, and I'm sure that would be something that we'd want to talk about coming up in the future. And that'll start at 7:30 is bell time. Doors open 6:30, and time is certainly flying here when you're having fun. And you can go to the All-Star Wrestling Facebook page for more information. Let's get to some people here in the chat because we plugged that, obviously. Love seeing you in a new place. Love seeing you in some different places. Maybe I'll throw up one that you were at in September. But let's get to some people here in the chat because they want to say a few
Let's
things.
see.
Zilla is in the house. Zilla would like to say hello. Thank you, Zilla. Zilla is here first. There you go. And speaking of people that I'm going to announce it here, obviously somebody that is a close confidant and an associate, a friend. And speaking of friends, now this will certainly be a lot more, I would think, of a debate than anything else rather than a friendly banter. But Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, Miss Courtney Wood's going to be here. But she's also, she's drawn a hand of the guy that you might want to say is the controversy king, Wyatt Black. They're going to be here same time, same bat channel, same screen. We know what these two have done back and forth to each other for the better part of a year. on this platform, it's been going on for over 7 months, and we're going to try to maybe get to the bottom of it here. It's almost our October surprise in the spirit of campaign season. And, well, what better way to celebrate that, you might want to say, or not, by having Miss Courtney Wood and the controversy king, Wyatt Black.
You want to talk about polar opposite worlds? That there's no greater personification than those two.
Well, they're going to be here too, and I think that's going to be a lively one. That's going to. I'm sure I might need some of this. Going to probably need a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of arguing, a lot of yelling, and we'll see. I mean, Wyatt Black has obviously been in the news in the WWF, especially. Just ask Riku St. Helens. Maybe not ask Riku St. Helens because he probably couldn't, talk much about that figuratively and literally. But Wyatt Black has been in the middle of everything, and Courtney Wood has been there, and she certainly had her grievances toward him, and they're going to be here on the same screen.
I wish you the absolute best of luck keeping a little bit of decorum between those two.
Well, we're going to certainly find out. And thank you, John. John wanted to say hello. Hello, John. How you doing? Nice to see John. And speaking of somebody that you have also been in a few locker rooms with, and especially one recently in Mon Valley Pro Wrestling, another man that I promise you before the year is out, we will bring him on. Mr. Andrew Lovelace, the be-all, end-all, peanut butter and jealous are certainly a big part of things in places like Mon Valley Pro, and he says, well.
Well, it has been a little bit too long since we've last spoke. Where does the time go?
That's a great question, and I wish I knew, but unfortunately, time just keeps on ticking. It definitely
yes, it does.
Keeps on ticking, and thank you, Zilla, for that. I want to say hello to a man that'll be back on here who hasn't been here in a while as well, Torrance Banks. He'll be back here sometime next week. He wants to say hello. The enforcer of Sportswire Radio, Mr.
McCoy.
Say hello. My very good friend, Mr. Eddie Pizzo. If you can duel it. And he's in the house on Twitch. Yes, I am on Twitch. Eddie also wanted to say hello on Twitch. And as promised, Brittany Storm. And yeah, that emoji.
That is such a droll comment to make, Miss Wood.
Yeah, but you know what?
Popular.
There is a point to be made because there's the collective, and then there's Brittany Storm in the collective. That's what some would say. I mean, you would obviously, as the gentleman and you are, may not want to walk into that debate, but certainly Courtney is one of those people that voices that opinion. Where you've got Ampo, you've got the Banana Man, you've got Mr. Tafua. And you've got Day, and then, well, there's Brittany Storm.
I will still choose to collectively recognize them as the collective, just simply out of respect.
Well, listen, I mean, look, famously in the NWO, there was the likes of Vincent and, God rest his soul, and Horace Hogan. And, if you were a fan of, the NBA and the Chicago Bulls, and there were certain players that played on those Bulls dynasty teams that, there was Michael, there was Scotty, there was Dennis, Horace in the first incarnation, guys like BJ Armstrong. And then, there were guys like Judd Bushler and Bill Wennington. And, so I'm not trying to say that Brittany Storm is in that same league, but there is obviously Ampo, there is the Banana Man, there is Mr. Tafua, and the tri-belt holder, Day Jameson. So, and then there's Brittany Storm. But maybe, as you said, Brittany will prove Courtney and others wrong. We'll get to, I'm sure there's more comments off that. Hello to Jade. Thank you, Jade, for tuning in. And thank you to everybody else here. Yes. And she's got big news. And another 80s reference here, by the way. So you ready for it? Jade's Driving, License to Drive. Another 80s movie. License to Drive, the Coreys, and Heather Graham was in that one. Don't get any ideas, but yeah, that's another one there. But she's now driving. She's officially licensed.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go take cover now.
You might want to do that. Yeah, you do that. Yes, you do that. We have more comments. Congratulations. And yes, they're in there. They teamed together a couple weeks ago in the WWF. And speaking of people that are here, Mr. Daniel Tafua. Now, so far, appreciates the kind words, appreciates that friendship, but hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully you stay friends with Tafua, because we wouldn't want to see that friendship being ruined over, certainly some opinions or feelings collectively that the fabulous one has.
I do agree with that. Me and Tafua go quite some time back.
Yes.
Can't ignore a good friend. I would hate to do that.
Oh, I would certainly hope you wouldn't. I want to salute another one of my favorites on Sportswire, Mr. Caster, who we've seen in
No.
actually another great company, Pro Wrestling Vanguard over there in the great state of Connecticut, also TF Crew, NEW, GTS, and said he liked you. And he's a pretty good talker in his own right. He was on here about maybe 6 weeks ago, about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So he'll be back on before the end of the year, and he liked you. And and he's a pretty proper guy in his own right. So that's another thing. But
it is appreciated. Thank you.
Soon, Miss Harper will be set free. Now, what do you think about that?
Mr. Tafua.
Yeah.
In spite of our friendship, it's a gentleman cannot abide this.
But
please don't make me choose.
He's speaking collectively for the rest of the group, and that Miss Harper may not be, may have to be set free when it comes to this,
I really am going to have a little chat with Miss Harper to see if I could maybe settle her down just a little bit.
You're going to have to try and find a way to reach her. You're going to have to try. Now, I know she's obviously, the popular one, and, she's probably, who knows what she's doing right now or during the week, but you're going to have to be able to, with this alliance, if it's going to go anywhere, to let Miss Harper know that Tafua was upset about the fact on some of the things that Miss Harper said about pinfalls, and that pin wasn't in your match that you had toward Mr. Tafua. And then she wound up certainly saying plenty about Mr. Day Jameson, and she found Day Jameson. And Day, by the way, did that with what we knew in the match the week after your tag match with her. That was last weekend there in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And Day did that, well, basically with, let's just say, not 100%, especially when it came to a hand.
Yeah, I do remember a little bit about that.
You remember the time, definitely, to quote a Michael Jackson song. And and Day Jameson, well, let's just say Phoebe might have just beat it. And, definitely.
Indeed.
Well, we'll get to some more comments. You leave Phoebe alone, Tafua. So there's Courtney, big fan.
I would strongly prefer that from Mr. Tafua. I'm going to have to lean with Miss Popular on this one. Or Miss Wood, I'm sorry.
Well, Courtney is going to have her feelings. She's long had her feelings about Miss Harper. Miss Wood, you can call her Mrs. Wood. I think Courtney might get upset with you, but she sent the photo of her driving. We will, we'll show you the photo of driving. We'll show it. If you want,
please.
I'll show you the photo of driving, because guess what? Spoiler alert, I don't even have a license. Well, I'm in New York City, though. New York City, it's a completely different ballgame, so don't feel too bad. I have nothing to do with Miss Harper, but I know Godrick knows, and that whoever steps foot in the ring with Tafua, they change. And remember, famously, there was a few months back here in this platform, and Daniel Tafua had the red light on, and he was trying to spark something in you, and that was a memorable moment for you at that time. And it did spark a change in you. And firsthand, I saw it here on this platform. Mr. Tafua doesn't speak in riddles. Mr. Tafua doesn't speak in clues. He speaks because, he is the Samoan King. I want to remind you about that.
That's right, he is. And yeah, I'm no stranger to some of these mythical changings that, he's quite good at it. And I don't know how he can get inside my head, but he can.
Well,
he can. I give all the credit in the world.
That's advice for Phoebe Harper, because Phoebe Harper, it's one thing to go up against Brittany Storm. It's one thing to go up against Riku St. Helen. But she's learning that the collective, they're certainly different. But I will show it because she wanted me to show it. And, you can now see her driving. And I didn't necessarily know it's a thing, but there you go. And that's that. We have her driving, and soon she'll be driving to shows. She'll definitely be driving to shows, and that's one thing. And congratulations on the drive.
I'll second that.
Definitely drive safe and always wear a seatbelt, please. Trust me on that. My dad was, believe it or not, Godrick Sandwell, I don't drive, but my dad, when he was alive, God rest his soul, was a driving instructor. He was a driving instructor. And I never drove. Well, because I like to drive the conversation here on Sportswire. That's why that was. But stand-up comedy is my next step. Thank you, Eddie. Castor has a good question for you, actually, from one Russellton. I'm going to put his Instagram up here in a minute. Where did you get that blazer?
A gentleman does keep some secrets, but I do appreciate the compliment on the garb for the evening.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Because I'm in a giving mood, I'm going to put up Castor's Instagram page, because if you like to maybe see more of his footage and what he's doing out there, he's a guy I've always been a fan of for a long time. He wrestles in a company where I know him most in the TF crew. They just had a show not too long. Another guy that's kind of similar to you, and a guy, Rad Dad Radley Belmont. Rad Dad Radley Belmont wrestled a very well-known wrestler in the independents called Darius Carter, who's in the PWI 500 in the upper half of it. Yeah, he wrestled him, beat him for a championship here locally, and that's his page on Instagram. So if you're out there and you might want to book Castor, he's from the Northeast in the Connecticut area, and book him. I would recommend it. He's a great talent,
the New England area specifically. I might have to make a venture up there.
New England guy, I can definitely help you with that. New England guy, great guy. Definitely, I would recommend him, and a lot of his friends that he wrestles with in the great state of Connecticut. I see some of them here. And also, Godrick, I'm not looking forward to Friday. Now, I want to answer this because now I'm sure you remember a few weeks ago, right? When this guy who was worldwide that was here, William Renee, who was the pro wrestling, even you said it, the pro wrestling cheap shots former heavyweight champion was here. That was one thing. He was here.
I am actually so glad you said that. That is such a great statement to make.
You want to say something about William Renee? We're worldwide. We should say something about him. By all means, feel free.
No, I just merely wanted to remark, and the fact that you said the now former Pro Wrestling Cheap Shots heavyweight champion, which is now occupied by my very dear friend and coincidentally a collective member, Lestat.
Which you certainly would have preferred the Banana Man over worldwide William Renee, because the world, he certainly got a beating on here. Obviously the Street Stompers came on here and they stomped a lot of the things that he said on here. I mean, Dave Jameson was very adamant after he came on here. They had plenty to say, the collective, about worldwide William Renee. They were on here 2 days right afterwards. I mean, there was a lot of people that were very upset about that. I mean, certainly. Then we had the Draw themselves were on here right after worldwide William Renee, and even in his group, they lost the tag team championships to the Street Stompers. So definitely a tough last few weeks for worldwide William Renee, and he even compared himself to Kobe Bryant, and he didn't have that Mamba mentality because he lost the world title to the Banana Man Lestat.
That's right, he did. As much as I didn't prefer the vulgarity of what Mr. Jameson had gone on that tangent about some time ago about William Renee, I'm not going to say I don't disagree with him either.
Listen, you know what? We could put it in a lighter light. Basically, we could say it was still not as vulgar, or not, for some heavy metal fans, as much of a vulgar display of power as a few months ago when Mr. Jameson famously was on a Facebook Live that kept going and going and going. So you could say theoretically it was still a PG Dave Jameson on William Renee here compared to a previous Facebook Live. Let's just say it's out there. Go find it.
Just be warned for the more sensitive of ears.
Yeah, there you go. Then I'm sure we'll have plenty of comments there. I want to say hello to another legend, the one and only Mr. Doc Holliday. Hello to everybody here. Hello to all. All Storm does is bring down the collective's average. Losing 2 championship matches is embarrassing. I mean, listen, I kind of did make that point that there's the four of them, and then there's Brittany Storm. I mean, there is that. I mean, there is that.
I do admit that she has hit a bit of a rough patch of recently, but all it takes is just that one moment to turn all the things around.
Well,
And
I mean,
to Miss Storm, I wish you all the luck in the world.
I mean, listen, I mean, David Flair once upon a time was aligned with Ric Flair, right? I mean, we would certainly not put David Flair, respectfully not in the same category with the rest of the Horsemen. And I think in a way, Courtney's trying to make that same reference with Brittany and the rest of the collective. And we'll get to some more comments. And see, Doc Holliday also likes the Blue Jacket.
Oh,
my mother actually
kind,
likes the jacket also, but my mother fell asleep because, well, she just fell asleep because she was put asleep by my intro. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. No, it's funny. It's funny, but trying a career in stand-up comedy. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, everybody. And I showed the pic. I did show it. You should have seen it. And also, her grandfather took her driving. That's very nice.
All right.
Very nice. And, another reference with the License to Drive movie. Actually, speaking of grandfatherly-like drivers, the driving instructor in that movie, some people may actually not, or may not know this. It was actually Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was the driving instructor famously in that movie. Yeah. God
rest in peace, James Avery.
Yes, James Avery. And James Avery also was the voice of the Shredder and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original.
That's right. That's right.
I tried out, you cannot compare me to, because you're obviously got way better, graphing, grasp of the English language. But I did try out for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Then real life happened, and I got close enough to it. But let's get to some more comments. Follow Caster on Instagram. Also, we are looking forward to Friday. Godrick looking devilishly dapper. And you got a lot of comments for the blue coat today. You've been getting a lot of comments for that.
It's actually been a little while since I've worn this particular blue jacket, so this is quite refreshing.
Well, you haven't been here in a long time, so that's a part of it. And not counting your last appearance on here, which we're not going to go down that road. But let me get to some more comments. The Mighty Liga, the Samoan Nightmare, he never leaves because it becomes the reality. Not a nightmare, nor a daydream. That door, that red door is always open. Man, I mean, Sir Godrick, and you might even want to say, in honor of this comment from the sound machine itself, that's enlightening you, because you are the gentleman of exquisite caliber. Daniel Tafura was enlightening you there.
And I know exactly what it is that he's referencing to. Tried to bring another presence out of me some time ago. Thankfully, it did not come to pass, but persistence is quite the pestilence.
Well, that is certainly a big word from you, and I got some big comments I'm going to get to. Brittany Storm is no one important, a complete loser.
Whoa, Miss Popular. I must strenuously object. I would never call Miss Storm nobody important. That is preposterous.
Well, but now I would partially agree with you, but on a technicality, who got pinned last time out?
I mean, that is correct. Last I was down there, it was Miss Storm that did take the deciding fall. That is absolutely correct.
Make her a complete loser. Wouldn't that make her a complete loser?
I personally would not say so, but opinions be what they may.
Okay, well, obviously, I guess in the light of this, I'll go like this. That's for you. That's for you, because you really wanted to work out of that. I want to say hello to Napalm here from the great state of North Dakota. Hello, gents. He is the LBYW Interstate Champion, and I'm sure he'll be back on here at some point in the next month. And haven't seen him on. Hope he's doing well. And he also, this will actually be kind of a cool thing to mention. His birthday is one day before mine. I'm October 7th. He's October 6th. So there you go. But, happy belated birthday. Yeah, it's Napalm. We knew that. And I'm watching Raw. I don't have Netflix, so don't spoil it. But nevertheless, I got Godrick Sandwell instead. Thank you. And I caught myself, though, Mr. Sandwell, just saying. So.
Yes, you did. I commend you for that. I appreciate it.
Now, I got something for you. I'll talk about a couple of things, and we'll come back to the WVWF. Obviously, very excited, and I do want to recap a couple things. I will be here Thursday night with the WVWF Tag Team Champions. That is Cease and Desist. That is the Hype Man Dan Lasers and the Rare Bird Chris Phoenix. They'll be here at 9:30. And then same Bat Channel, same time, Friday night, a debate, a friendly debate, or maybe not so friendly debate between Courtney Wood and the controversy king himself, Wyatt Black.
Actually, you know what? I think I will pray to the Amida Buddha for everyone's safe return
You
for
can
this
pray to
one.
anything you want, whether it's the Buddha, whether it's Hindu, whether it's Muslim, you name him, you can pray to him. And then Wednesday night, I do want to put it out there, and don't get any ideas out there, but we do have on rock singer Lorraine Lewis, who'll be here Wednesday night. She was in a show called The Ex-Wives of Rock and Roll. It was a show with the ex-wife of Vince Neil, the ex-wife of Nikki Sixx. And yeah, we're not going to show that picture, but she has a new song out. She also is a TV producer, and you don't get any ideas, but she'll be here, and she'll talk about her brand new song and some of the music she's worked on. So you can check her out on Instagram, and maybe you can try your luck, or maybe just tune in here on Sportswire Radio when you'll see on the voice of the band Femme Fatale. She was also in a few other groups, and you can check her out Wednesday night, and I'll announce it again later. But we are now here with Godrick Sandwell, but also Mr. Tafu would like to add, you would like so nice in that hat, though. Maybe Miss Harper needs to see that set of you to see that change. Just saying. Your response.
Some things need not spake.
What is not understood doesn't need to be discussed. That might be the reference that you might have wanted to have brought up, but obviously it's a subject that pains you. I could see quite a bit. I could certainly see that it pains you quite a bit to talk about those things, and I did want to touch upon for a few minutes, maybe to save you a little bit of agony for now, that you were a part of MVP Wrestling, otherwise known as Mon Valley Pro Wrestling, and I have that footage up. I'm going through it as we speak, and will we see you there maybe in the future, in addition to the WVWF with the fabulous one Phoebe Harper?
Well, don't put it past me to take a casual traipse, whether it's to the gates of paradise, whether it's just to the realms of the inferno, or to a wrestling show near you.
Yeah, obviously, I have the footage up for it. If you want to check out MVP Wrestling, and you'll see some familiar faces. The Banana Man Lestat, Aaron Judo Jones. We know him very well, and the Banana Man.
Okay.
There's the Banana Man himself in action. I mean, you're in action. I'm trying to find your match, and of course, Ian Graves. Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you right now, this is part one of the show. This was up until intermission. I was on the second half of the show, so I would not be featured on it.
Okay, well then let me see. I don't have the second half of the show.
Yeah, the second half for some reason has not been released. Perhaps because somebody stole an opportunity from me to become the Monsters Division champion. I won't mention any names, however.
We won't have to do that, but obviously hope to see you there in MVP Wrestling. Obviously, All-Star Wrestling coming up next Saturday. I'll put that poster back up, and I mean, so is there anything else that you want to talk about related to this alliance with Miss Harper, or anything else? I mean, that we, haven't got a chance to touch upon and such tonight?
Well, I will say this. For those of you who weren't there at WVWF a couple of weeks ago, I said it there, I'll say it now. It doesn't matter in what capacity that you would see Miss Harper. It doesn't matter if she's competing in the women's division, which she was quite dominant in. It doesn't matter if you would see her wrestling the men.
And she said she's no longer basically competing in that.
Which is fine. But if should she go back, whether it's that, whether it's the men's division, whether it's the tag team, if she wants to delve into hardcore, which I will pray to whatever unhearing God in that case.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
nevertheless, I will say that Miss Harper is certainly going to be a force to truly reckon with in WVWF.
But that collective, though, could be in the way of things.
As business would dictate, that answer clearly would be yes. As far as anything else, I would certainly hope not, but we will see what happens.
Well, we'll certainly see, and I do have one more thing I want to put on the screen. But before we get to that, All Star Wrestling is out there. Check them out on Facebook, MVP Wrestling. Check them out. And also, speaking of places in SCW, we know the collective have gold there.
I've actually seen. Actually, he's on the latest poster, if my memory serves.
I believe I think I saw that on Facebook also as well. And reckon means reckoning.
Now.
Well, obviously, listen, we can obviously see that this is definitely a painful subject. It's a touchy situation. I understand that. And Zilla feels Courtney was very harsh about Brittany Storm. Very harsh about Brittany Storm. Very.
First of all, Zilla, it is an honor as always. I forgot to say it before. I want to get it now while I recollect my head here. But I'm unfortunately I do have to agree with Miss Zilla, Courtney Wood. I do have to say that your comments were a little uncalled for.
Well, you know what? That's where Wyatt Black and Courtney Wood might agree on Friday. Maybe they'll have some agreements on Friday. Those might be things. And you know what? I'm gonna ask Courtney Wood about Wyatt Black and the collective. And you know, Wyatt Black has pinned Dave Jamieson, by the way. I would like to remind people of that. And I'm sure that the Controversy King is going to bring that up. He is going to certainly bring that up on Friday's show.
Well, be that as it may, and he got a win over quite a tough competitor in One Master Dave Jamieson, of which I can attest to as well.
Yes, you can. And Phoebe Harper came up short in that particular match, and obviously, no biggie. Thank you, Zilla. You wished me happy birthday already, and he won't mention that R word again, my friend. He won't do it.
I appreciate that, but some things don't need spake, other things can be. But I do appreciate the respect.
Listen, what is understood doesn't need to be discussed, and obviously, I could see that, and I'm going to say something else. Mr. Tafua will be back on Sportswire here very soon. He will be back, and the collective are due to come back also on Sportswire. They're due to come back, and you know they're going to talk a lot about William Renee again. They're going to talk about, I'm sure, William. You know, I did mention you, by the way, in the fact that universally people just did not like William Renee on Sportswire. They did not like him in the way of Wyatt Black, but that was brought up in the comparison. But William Renee has obviously been, you know, he's a different competitor than one Wyatt Black and such. You know, he's definitely a different competitor. So they're, you know,
I will agree with that. However, some of the actions that Mr. Renee would take to achieve his victories, though victories they may be, are a little bit less than savory compared to a gentleman.
Well, I've heard plenty of story time about that, and maybe you're right, because, well, it seems like he's lost control of Pro Wrestling Cheap Shots, and Wyatt Black has on paper control of gold at the moment, whereas Mr. Renee, he's empty-handed. So I guess maybe you're onto something. So, but you know, before we go, and I do want to give this to you because it is your day here on Sportswire Radio. Congratulations. It is your day on all platforms. And I know we've done this dance before, but you've definitely drawn some people, to steal another group's phrase. And people have tuned in and had plenty to say. And it has been a minute since you've been on here. And it is your day. We will give you the physical copy when we're off the air. And although it is definitely a day that you might want to say there's some torn emotions or mixed emotions, certainly when it comes to the collective, when it comes to Phoebe Harper. But I did gather tonight, no matter what, I did learn that you and Phoebe, although you haven't spoke much about it, you would like to win gold with her and potentially those tag team championships. And there is a path to those tag team championships. And, well, the holders of those championships are here Thursday night, cease and desist. So we can certainly talk about you and Phoebe Harper for sure Thursday night. So I'll
I
bring
would
that.
certainly welcome that.
I will
Matter of
certainly.
fact, I might be tuning into that show just to see what.
I think a lot of the similar people we saw in the chat tonight will be tuned in eagerly with anticipation to see what Hype Man Dan Lasers and the Rarebird Chris Phoenix have to do, especially because they've had their own problems with the draw. And they've also said some things also on here on Sportswire Radio about the collective. So a lot of the similar names and same place, same bat channel. We'll talk about that. So is there anything else you want to bring up here before closing thoughts?
Well, a lot of turmoil going on in WWF, and
absolutely. I mean, you got the whole Nate Steele situation now. I mean, you got that. We got a new Mountain State champion, the whole with the hybrid title. I mean, there is a lot of chaos right now in the WWF. I mean, we've got the collective now are here. We've got you and Phoebe. I mean, we've got the draw, right? I mean, there's a lot going on here in the WWF.
Speaking of the hybrid champion, I'm actually glad you mentioned that to me as well.
Yes.
I was supposed to send James Enoch a very special book, and I'm going to say it's still sitting on my bookshelf. But again, just a little side note.
Gunslinger. I mean, he's a guy that's obviously been in there with the likes of Cody Maverick or now Maverick and Ryan Steele. And I mean, he's certainly had his hands full these last few months, and he's been on here multiple times. Did you want to maybe say anything personally to the Chemical Valley Gunslinger?
Well, I've seen that he has done well to keep that championship as close to him as he humanly can, and I wish him nothing but the absolute best.
I guess time will certainly tell, and he is a man that I think a lot of people are going to certainly be watching as eagerly as Game 7 right now of the American League Championship Series. The Toronto Blue Jays just took the lead over the Seattle Mariners, but Godrick Sandwell has taken over Sportswire Radio tonight because it is his day here, and it is a big week ahead here for the WVWF, and we're going to talk a lot more about it tomorrow. And I'm here from the great state of Ohio, the guys from the EWA and Hubie Jenkins and those likes. But until then, I pass the baton to you, sir. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours. I'll put up the poster of All-Star Wrestling, which you're on, to close the show.
Well, I thank you very kindly. It is an honor to be back. It's been way too long for the ladies and gentlemen, angels and demons, Nephilim and Cambion, all manner of creature all around the world and the internet on your preferred platform, as it were, because the gentleman of exquisite caliber, not only this weekend in White Oak, Pennsylvania, makes his Pros of Wrestling debut. But a little birdie has told me that yours truly might be making a few first-time appearances at a couple of other places in the very near future. Now, where those could be, I truly don't know. But rest assured, when a gentleman knows, you will be in the loop as soon as humanly possible. Whether it be me, whether it be Jeffrey, but rest assured, those in the gallantry, it will be an honor to perform and to carry the honor into that squared circle.
Well, you know what? Get your preferred beverage ready, and I am sure that we'll be serving you angel food cake with that. So I'm sure that
angel food cake, yum yum yum.
What you want? That's what you get. I'm sure, and we'll talk plenty about that. I'm sure next month we'll talk about those places. Maybe we'll have the footage this time of some places you've wrestled. And thank you, Eddie. Please follow Dooley, and if you can do it. And hello to Mr. DVG himself.
Oh, another cat I haven't seen in quite some time.
I saw him. Well, he was here for a minute on Saturday's show with the Stompers, the Street Stompers, and he meant to say gentleman. Yeah, I will give him a pass. That's okay. We'll give him a pass on that. Thank you, DVG, and I'm glad you're doing well. And I'm sure one of these days we'll catch up. And thank you to him. And it is Godrick Sandwell Day one more time. all Sportswire radio platforms. And my friend, looking forward to doing this again next month. Looking very much forward to seeing what happens between you and Phoebe Harper. If Phoebe doesn't know it, well, I'm sure we'll talk about it nevertheless. And looking forward to seeing what happens, and especially with that collective. And I'm sure the message has been sent tonight, especially with Mr. Tefu. And my friend, thank you as always. Keep up the good work. Congrats on the certificate, and I look forward to seeing what happens soon in the WVWF. And I'm sure you'll be listening eagerly Thursday and Friday night, most especially.
And Reverend Bryce, it is an honor as always, and thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. And that is the gentleman of exquisite caliber, Godrick Sandwell. He will be back in the ring this coming Saturday for our friends over at All-Star Wrestling in White Oak, Pennsylvania. The doors open 6:30, bell time 7:30. Also, my friend Brian Starr is going to be on that card. I know Brian Starr. Horsepower is going to be on there. You're going to see some other familiar faces, so definitely want to check that out. Sam Street, I know Sam Street as well. Definitely check out Sam Street and check out everybody there on Facebook. You can also check out Godrick Sandwell, a part of plays like the WVWF, which is going to be in action very soon back in the month of November. You'll also see Godrick Sandwell in plays like MVP Wrestling and also, by the way, alongside Phoebe Harper, the fabulous one. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally all music and wrestling matters. If you're here, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Thursday and Friday, 9:30. Cease and desist, the WVWF Tag Team Champions, and Courtney Wood and Wyatt Black on the same screen, plus the lovely Lorraine Lewis Wednesday. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one Global Radio, the Sportswire Radio, where all music wrestling matters. Thank you so much.